How do you avoid defensive sidekicks? As a person who, if you're competing, how do you get your blitz off? How do you avoid a person who you know wants to hit you with a defensive sidekick? Because I was watching something. I'm going to put out a video in probably the next couple of days of how not to blitz versus show a good way of blitzing and a bad way of blitzing, because there are people who are blitzing and not moving their feet or jumping straight up and not going forward.
That goes back into they're doing it out of a sidekick stance, out of a kicking stance, and their knee can't turn, so they can't drive forward and push off and explode to the target, so they have to go up and around. Bro, this is the whole thing.
But it's a lot, because the winning point that Katana scored on Kat, if Kat actually committed, she didn't move her feet. She just leaned in and tried to use her length. And
unfortunately, that's how she blitzes a lot of the times.
She threw 2 punches before Katana even got her sidekick up and out. And I was like, that's just, like I said, that was just like a rookie mistake. But I watched other people. I watched somebody jump up, and that person, Liam, just looked at him and just sidekicked him in the air. I'm like, what? And then then I was watching Tyreek and Bailey's blitz and how they were covering ground versus how other people were blitzing. And so I was curious as to you guys, how do you guys beat a defensive sidekick? Because I was talking to Alex Macias at the AKAs. He had lost on a defensive sidekick. And he said because he had went for it and blah, blah. And I told him, I was like, well, the smart way is to slide pass. Do the slide pass. You don't go straight at it. Go to the side pass. But I'm curious as for you guys, how do you guys tell people or teach people how to avoid the defensive sidekick? Are you...
I am a if I'm blitzing, I'm trucking.
I already knew this answer. I already knew this answer. I'm running you over. Like, if you touch me first, you're still gonna end up on the floor in the chair. So
honestly, for me, it'd be more I'm baiting you to see your response to my bait, right? And I'm gonna bait and see how you're positioning your body to throw the sidekick, and that's gonna help me decide on how I'm going to blitz if I'm coming in off my blitz, if that makes sense. For myself personally, but for the most part, if I know that I can cover the distance before you can pull that leg off, then I'm gonna get to you that way,
Right. Because like I was gonna say, I'm the same way. I was a bigger little guy and I had to fight Jack.
That's what I'm about to say. Jack is like is there anybody who has a better defensive sidekick than Jack?
No, not in my opinion. I think Jack's got the best D side, especially I've ever fought.
Right. And
so like for Jack's, because it was so short and it was a back kick and it was a drop down, honestly, that style of I'd have to push through, let it kick my arms and then follow through and go off of that. Again, you have longer legged fighters who do a big step. You have fighters who have shorter legs who don't step, open stance, closed stance. I mean, there's a lot of, even in the sidekick, I know it's a straight line technique, but you got to go. Yes, Mikey P, body back. Definitely don't lead with the back fist if you don't want to get hit with a sidekick.
That's true.
That's kind of number one. Like you said, you got to move your feet. You got to lean your body. You got to try not to telegraph it too much. What's the distance that we're throwing?
I love when someone blitz me from too far away.
Whoa!
Well, actually, here's my question: how many times
they just donated? I like it. That we call it donations. They just donate 2 points to you at that point.
Los, how often did you actually blitz? If you really think about it as a percentage wise,
as coming up, I probably didn't blitz as much because I was more of a kicker. As I got older and more mature in my fighting, I understood it better. Does that make sense? I don't think I understood it as well because I always felt like when I would kick somebody, my legs were so long that I would have them so far away that for me to try to follow up with my punching, I had too much space. I had too much gap space, right? And then, like I said, so for me to blitz them also, sometimes I would have to have my feet a little wider so I had a little more base to push off of, so I wasn't able to kick as well from that position. You get what I'm saying? So it's kind of, for me, being a taller, longer range fighter, that was a little bit harder for me to do right off the rip as I was coming up. As I got older, I didn't kick as much, right? So my stance and my body kind of settled a little bit. So I was able to blitz a little bit better from there, if that makes sense.